It's me, JGB. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm just gonna get right in there and tell you a little story about me, JGB. And the story starts in 1983. Jessica Genevieve Brown is born on December 27th of 1983 to two proud parents in Edmonton, Alberta, where my dad is working on a construction project, so there's no real reason why I was born in Edmonton. I know nothing about Edmonton. I don't even think I spent more than a few months there in my whole life. The only thing I know about Edmonton is that there's a really cool mall there. It has a submarine and water slides and lots of other stuff. So I'm born in Edmonton. My parents are 24 and 25 years old, which is so crazy. I know a lot of you have probably been in this situation where you're like, whoa, I'm 35. Actually, I'm 34 right now. I'm turning 35. And the thought of having children 10 years ago, crazy. So my parents are 24 and 25. My dad is French Canadian. He's from Quebec. Il parle en français. And my mom is an army brat who lived kind of all over the place, but was originally from Petitcodiac, New Brunswick. So French dad, English mom makes me a super lucky bilingual Canadian chick. I never really had to learn two languages. I acquired, through language acquisition, which is a really interesting topic, I acquired both languages. Je parle en français, je parle en anglais, j'ai les deux langues. Je vais comprendre le français pendant toute ma vie. And I think that's so cool, and I implore anyone who has children to please teach your children any language that you possibly can. It's such a beautiful gift. Moving on. So let's jump forward to 1986. Where we live in Barbados, out in the sun and the sand. I'm so convinced that this is when I fell in love with tropical weather and being by the ocean, because I am obsessed with that now, and I'm sure it's because of Barbados. My little brother Jordan is born there. He's a little smush in this picture here. He's a Bajan. How cool is that? That's what they're called, by the way. They're not called barbarians, although I did call my brother a barbarian most of the time growing up. He was born in Barbados, so he's half Canadian, half Bajan. And we lived out there for, I don't even know how long. We're living there because my dad was working in construction and he built the one road that goes around Barbados. And I'm told to this day, it's still the one road that goes around there. I've got to go back and visit. But I haven't yet, but I will. All right, flash forward, 1988. Please tell me you're looking at these pictures right now. So here are the pictures. This is me in my Richard Simmons years. My mom likes to give me perms. Mom, why? Why the perms? I digress. So 1988, we live in the suburbs of Montreal. My parents separate. This is a tough time. My dad has custody, and we don't see my mom anymore. I really don't remember any of this. I'm like 3 years old. I'm super young. It's a tough thing to go through at a young age. And I can't even imagine for a kid who's 3 years old, who spent every single waking moment with her mom, to all of a sudden, mom's not there anymore. That must be so hard. That must have been really hard. I mean, for my dad too, to go through that and to have to take care of a 3-year-old child who wants nothing more than to be around her mom. Tough stuff, guys. 1988, not a great year. But you know what? Very soon after that, my dad falls in love and remarries. And I have a new mom. She's mom with a U. Mom, and then I have Mommy Cheryl, my mom. My mom is a Jewish American, and we move with my mom. Our whole family moves to Boston, where I have a pretty amazing all-American upbringing. Seriously. I was a super busy, active kid, pretty dorky. I know you're looking at those pictures. So these years, like, they're great. I'm super busy. I'm an active kid. We are always involved in things. I have tons of friends. I'm full of personality. I love performing and singing, and I participate in all the school plays. I'm like the star soccer player. I know that's saying a lot, but I was a pretty good soccer player. I actually later got a soccer scholarship in the school. This was pretty good. I was a defenseman and I played goalie, which I hated, but I also did not want to let anyone else in the goal because I made sure that, you got to pull through. So I was a goalie and back D. I played soccer a lot throughout the years. I also played on the basketball team. I was that clutch free throw thrower because under pressure, I perform. And hey, this is a theme that recurs throughout the years. I perform really well under pressure. And I think you might be witnessing that exactly right now because how I'm feeling on the inside is being channeled into something else. This is why I decided to do these lives, because I know that when the pressure is on, I show up. It's also why I went into PR. I am definitely somebody who shows up when I'm under pressure. And that's why I was so good at sports, because anytime I was depended on, I showed up. I was also the only girl on the baseball team, and I was the pitcher, and I was striking all the boys out. That's right. So in these two pictures, you will see that I'm very ladylike throughout my childhood. I just love wearing dresses. And I'm actually just being super sarcastic right now because in these pictures you can see that I'm not ladylike at all. And I hate wearing dresses. Oh my god, I hated them so much. I'm forcing a smile in this picture because I'm trying to be a good girl, but oh my god, I just couldn't stand wearing these dresses. So actually, I am a huge tomboy, obviously. I love being awkward and goofy. I contort my face whenever I possibly can. I love being the jokester and getting a rise out of people, and I'm like super theatrical, and I was just really out there. Tons of personality. And I look back at all my old pictures, I was like, wow, I really had a lot of personality. I was super outgoing. And I'm sure that that's not shocking to you if you're sitting here watching me now, but there's a time where that disappears, and hopefully it'll be coming back through these outlets that I'm creating for myself. All right, so now I've got this procession of my adorable school year pictures. Oh my god, so cute, right? I don't know what else to call those. I don't think any of us love our pictures of ourselves growing up as kids, so it is what it is. 91 through 95 I have here. Look, the story that I want to tell here is that I have this amazing fortune of being raised by this extremely well-educated and super successful family. Like, I'm so lucky to have this appear in my life. When I'm living in Boston, my grandma and my grandpa are like a huge part of my life. We spend a lot of time with them. They introduce us to temple and seders, and we have Passover and Hanukkah. And we're two Canadian kids who've never really been introduced to religion, and yet my grandparents make it possible for us to go to JCC camps every summer, and we're totally honorary Jewish kids. My grandpa was a retired attorney when I knew him, and I know he was in the war, and I was a kid when I used to hear all these stories, so I pictured him being this war hero who worked with doctors. To this day, I'm not really sure what it is that he does or did in the war, but he was still a very accomplished man. Now, my relationship with my grandmother was really special. I have pictures of me and my grandma and my grandpa here, and I really looked up to my grandma. She was a super strong woman, very strong personality, and even as a kid, I understood that not everyone jived with how strong my grandma's personality was. But I'll never forget the way she used to wink at me, and she did this smacking with her teeth, and I just loved the attention that she gave me, and she was a super special woman. So as I was writing the content for this episode, I came across this blurb about her accomplishments on an obituary webpage. And now keep this in mind, this is a woman who was born in 1913, okay? These accomplishments are not standard for women at this time. Growing up at the time that she grew up, you're just, this isn't what women do. And I'm so baffled. Check this out, okay? So the blurb says, she held degrees in physics from Smith and Radcliffe colleges. She had a law degree and a doctorate in math education from Boston University. Joan later earned a pilot's license, and as though that wasn't enough, she studied computer science, electrical engineering, public administration, several foreign languages, creative writing, and she was active in Brookline politics. Crazy. This is so crazy to me that my grandmother accomplished all this stuff. What an incredible woman, right? So I'm in this incredible family, so well educated. Success is obviously such a big theme here, but I'm a little kid. I'm like 5, 6, 7 years old. It's not until later on in my life, like now, that I'm looking back and realizing, wow, that must have had such an incredible imprint on my life. And totally, of course it did. My uncle on my grandma's side, so her brother, you won't even believe me when I tell you this, Robert H. Rines is insanely accomplished. He's an American lawyer, an inventor, a musician, and a composer. Okay, keep reading, right? During World War II, Rines served as an Army Signal Corps officer and helped develop the microwave early warning system. You know what that means? That means radar. That means he helped to invent radar. He was a renowned intellectual property lawyer, and he was inducted in the National Inventors Hall of Fame. If you look at this picture of my grandma and my brother and me and my grandpa, that's when we were in Akron, Ohio together, while my uncle was inducted into the Inventors Hall of Fame for inventing radar. Okay, can the story get weirder? Yes, it can! With this radar that he's invented, my uncle takes pictures of the Loch Ness Monster. That is right. Those pictures of the Loch Ness Monster that you've seen before, my great uncle took those. Crazy. I also want to add this little snippet that I learned through Wikipedia. At age 11, he played a violin duet with Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein at summer camp. Like, what kind of summer camp is this? Crazy. And on top of that, he wrote music. He was a composer for Broadway and off-Broadway shows, and he won an Emmy. He has an Emmy. It's just mind-boggling to me that somebody could have such crazy, cool, amazing achievements. And the only reason I'm telling you all this stuff is because I can't even imagine what this must look like to a kid, right? Like, I'm growing up in this environment. These are such incredible examples of success, you know? I learned from a young age, obviously, that the way towards success is to work hard and to get educated and to not let anyone or anything stand in the way of your success. My grandma is like this perfect example of, well, you're not supposed to do that. That's not the way things work. Well, darn that to heck, because I'm gonna do it anyway. And then there's my uncle's example that's like, people don't believe in him. Nobody believes in him. It's the Loch Ness Monster. Nobody believes in him. But does that stop him? No. And now, all these years later, I see myself and I realize, wow, that totally had a huge impact on me. I have never stopped chasing success. I have never taken no for an answer. I have never stopped believing that I can do whatever I set my mind to. Anything I set my mind to. If there's something standing in my way, I get educated, I am resourceful, and I figure that shit out. And I move forward. There are always going to be obstacles. And you know what? Sometimes you might have to work really hard and it might take a few years and it might take a lot of effort, but there is a way around everything. And if you want something badly enough, you can figure it out. So, this childhood story coming together, I'm telling you all this because I'm so grateful. Like looking back, wow, like I'm so lucky. I was this busy, active, super happy kid, and I was truly set up for like a really promising future, and I'm so grateful for that. I know that it shaped who I am today, and I would not be sitting here in Thailand living this incredible lifestyle that I have designed. I'm shooting for the stars. This project is like so grandiose and huge, and there's not a single day that I don't wake up thinking, how am I gonna do this? I'm so grateful for this childhood. It was provided to me by my mom and dad, and thank you, mom and dad. Like it means so, so much to me that I was able to have this. So my grandma's actually responsible for my obsession with the internet. I'm obsessed with the internet. I love social media, I love the internet, I love technology, and this goes back to my grandmother bringing me to the library. I swear to God, I have this memory of her introducing me to the catalog, like index file system at the library. It was this big cabinet, and you would go and you could look up anything you wanted. Anything! You could look up anything, and I could find the card, and the card would give me a code, and I could go on a mission to find the code and get a book that would teach me all about that. Like, how crazy is that? Just as a kid, I just remember being like, what? This is amazing. And so, on top of that, my grandma's also the one who introduced me to my first computer, because she was one of the first people to have one of those honking, like huge desktop machines. And I remember learning DOS codes on that, and I remember playing with like the first versions of chat and like first versions of internet search. Oh my God, I thought it was so cool. I thought it was so cool that this box like contained all the answers to everything, and all you had to do was know how to program it or, like find things. So my grandma's totally behind all this. To this day, I'm totally technologically minded, and I'm shaping a career in tech and social media, and it's totally thanks to you, Grandma. Thanks, Grandma! My grandma passes away in 1997. I think I'm 13 in 97, but I really don't remember this happening. I have very few memories of when it happened or how it happened, and that's because I packed it away. I totally packed away that part of my life, and I think this started happening, I know that this started happening in about 94. In 1994, something happens where I start repressing things. Things get scary, things happen, and I develop this new habit of putting things away. So bear with me, we'll get to that. In 1996, we moved back to Montreal. So I've been spending all this time in Boston. I have this great childhood. It's, I think, 6 years living the all-American dream. And then 96, I don't know how old I am, 13, entering high school. Tough times. Well, it's tough. Not only is it tough, I'm now going to high school for the first time, and I'm going to a French school, and I haven't spoken French in like years, right? I spoke to my dad in French, but not like everyday language French. So I go to this huge public school, École Secondaire Jacques Rousseau. And I have zero memories of this time. I don't remember what the school looked like. I don't remember any of my teachers. I don't remember any of my friends. I was bullied really bad at this time in my life. And I was bullied because I was a tête carrée English kid. And for some reason, that's a good reason to bully kids, because they're different from you. So I had a really tough year. I really don't remember that much. I have these terrible, awful memories. I remember this one group of kids cornering me, and they all horked and spat in my face and intimidated me. I have that memory. It's awful. And I hate, the only reason I'm sharing this is because I wonder if this is something other people had happening at high school too. I remember the principal used to come over the PA system and hold moments of silence for the kids that had passed away or taken their own lives. And I just remember feeling so dark and scared and like, what the fuck is life? Like at this point, it's 96, I'm like 12, 13 years old, and like life is awful. Life is scary. And it's just, it's tough, right? There's a part of the story that I'm skipping here, and this is the hard part. So the stuff that I was repressing, I started repressing it because something happened to me. I've now tracked back through clues that it probably happened around 94 when I was about 10 or 11. And I experienced some trauma that no one noticed or knew about. It was a deep, dark secret. And I carried that deep, dark secret for my whole life pretty much. And I wouldn't dare tell anyone about it because I felt such shame and guilt over it. And I really wish that I would have told someone, because it happened multiple times over the years. And maybe if I told somebody, I could have stopped it. And maybe it was happening to other people too. And maybe if I told someone, I could have stopped it from happening to them too. But I didn't know how to deal with it. So I pushed it away. And I repressed it. And I carried that deep, dark secret for a really, really long time. And it changed me forever. Forever. So that explains why in 96, I'm in this new environment, I'm in school, and I'm not feeling myself, I'm not feeling good. Something has shifted in me. I'm not bubbly or outgoing anymore. I didn't feel comfortable in my own skin. I actually felt like really uncomfortable in my own skin. I became really conflicted with my identity. I felt super numb, and I really reverted inwards. You know, I was this super outgoing, confident kid, and then I couldn't deal with it. So my behavior all of a sudden started causing issues at home. You know, I was being bullied, I was unhappy, I was miserable, and my parents just could not understand this. And bear with me, so there's a reason why I'm sharing all this stuff with you. There is a means to an end here. You know, it's pretty clear that at this point in my life, I'm a super miserable and unhappy kid. And on top of that, I'm like going through puberty at the same time. So I feel trapped. I don't have friends. I start acting out, and things at home get really tough. And I don't feel like I belong in my family. I mean, my mom and my dad and my brother all get along really well, and I was always the odd one out. I was different, and I was difficult, and I was the root of all problems. And it was really fucking tough for all of us. And so one day, and all of a sudden, I screamed out, I want to go live with my mom. And that's what happened. In that moment, right there, my life changed forever. You know, at this point, I feel like my parents probably felt like this was what was right for me. I mean, my whole life I wanted to be with my mom. My whole life I was told that I was exactly my mother. And that just made me want to be with her so badly. And I can't even imagine how hard that must have been for my parents, who were providing me with this beautiful fucking childhood and, doing their best to have this daughter who just wants to be somewhere else. So I sympathize there, and I realize that must have been really hard. But in this one moment, I scream out that I want to go live with my mom, and then poof, just like that, I'm told to pack my bags, and within 48 hours, I show up on my mom's doorstep. Just like that. I'm going to end the storytelling there. I think that's about enough for one day. But that's childhood. That's childhood in my preteen years. And we can talk about my high school years when everything gets flipped, turned upside down, and I go live with my mom, who's like a total free spirit, and things change. I'll tell you about that in the next episode.